blah 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 is about to be closed but has been modified. You want to save the changes? Yes. Lone Wolf. That Lone Wolf scene, not the Lone Wolf scene from the DS. And we were showing that off to Welly. Okay. Hello and welcome to the Book Plays. Book 1818 in our Lone Wolf Wednesday series. We are up to The Dawn of Dragons, having just finished the Death Lord of Ixia with its horrible, horrible difficulty. So many deaths. Like, our number of deaths has doubled. Ugh. But oh well. The story so far. You are Grandmaster Lone Wolf of Summerland, sole survivor of a massacre that wiped out the First Order of the Kai, an elite warrior caste. It is the year MS 5077. 27 years since your brave kinsman perished at the hands of the Dark Lords of Helgadad. Morning, Salah. These champions of evil, who were sent forth by Nar, King of Darkness, to destroy the fertile world of Magnamund, have themselves since been destroyed. You vowed to avenge the murder of the Kai, and you kept your pledge. For it was you who brought about their downfall, when alone you infiltrated their foul domain, the Darklands, and caused the destruction of their leader, at the base of his power that was the infernal city of Helgadad. In the wake of their destruction, chaos befell the Darkland armies, who, until then, had been poised to conquer all of Magnamund. One sec. Some factions which were part of this huge army, most notably the barbaric Dracarim, began to fight with the others for control. This disorder quickly escalated into an all-out civil war, which allowed the Freeland armies of Magnamund time in which to recover and launch a counter-offensive. Skillfully, their commanders exploited the chaos and secured a swift and total victory over an enemy far superior in numbers. For 7 years now, peace has reigned in Summerland. Under your direction, the once ruined monastery of the Kai has been thoroughly rebuilt and restored to its former glory. And the task of teaching a new order of Kai warriors the skills and traditions of your ancestors is also well established. The new generation of Kai recruits, all of whom were born during the era of war against the Dark Lords, possess latent skills and show exceptional promise. These skills will be nurtured and honed to perfection during their time here at the monastery, so that they may teach and inspire future generations, thereby ensuring the continued security of your homeland in future years. Your attainment of the rank of Grand Master brought with it great rewards. Some, such as the restoration of the Kai and the undying gratitude of your fellow Summerlending, could well have been anticipated. Yet, there have been rewards which you could not possibly have foreseen. The discovery that within you lay the potential to develop Kai disciplines beyond those of a Magna Kai, which until now were thought to be the ultimate to which a Kai master could aspire, was truly a revelation. Your discovery has inspired you to set upon a new and previously unknown path, in search of the wisdom and power that no Kai Lord before you has ever possessed. In the name of your creator, the God Kai, and for the greater glory of Summerland, and the goddess Ashir, you have vowed to reach the very pinnacle of Kai perfection, to attain all of the Grandmaster disciplines and become the first Kai Supreme Master. We're level 18? Kind of. It's kind of one book per level, in that, yes, there are often checks that say how many previous books have you done. So, kind of yes. With diligence and determination, you set about the restoration of the monastery and the training of the new order recruits. Well, that comes down to a question, Dawn Treader, of do you start at level 0 or do you start at level 1? Do you use 0 offset matrix notation? Your efforts were soon rewarded. Within the space of 2 short years, the first raw recruits had graduated to become a cadre of gifted Kai masters, who, in turn, were able to commence the teaching of their skills to subsequent intakes of Kai novices. Readily, the Kai masters rose to their newfound responsibilities. leaving you free to devote more of your time to the pursuit and perfection of the Kai Grand Master disciplines. During this period, you also received expert tutelage in the ways of magic from your two most trusted friends and advisors, Guildmaster Bane, leader of the Brotherhood of the Crystal Star, and Lord Ramoa, speaker for the High Council of the Elder Mages of Desi. In the deepest subterranean level of the monastery, 100 feet below the Tower of the Sun, you ordered the excavation and construction of a special vault. In this magnificent chamber... Yes, exactly, Salar. Bane, our oldest and most trusted ally. In the deepest... a special vault. In this magnificent chamber, wrought of granite and gold, you placed the 7 law stones of Nixita. Despite the fact that several of them were told to disappear when we touched them and get absorbed into us. Let's not question the continuity. The gems of Kai power, which you have recovered during an earlier quest for Kai knowledge. In this vault, bathed in the golden light of those radiant gems, you spent countless hours in the pursuit of perfection. Sometimes alone, sometimes in the company of your 2 able advisors, Bane and Ramoa. You worked hard to develop your innate Grand Master disciplines and grasp the fundamental secrets of Brotherhood and Old Kingdom magics. It actually should be plural there. Yeah, it should be plural. During this time, you noticed many remarkable changes taking place within your body. You became physically and mentally stronger. Your 5 primary senses sharpened beyond all that you had experienced before. And perhaps most remarkably, your body began to age at a slower rate. Now, for every 5 years that elapse, you age but 1. In the years following your victory over the Dark Lords, peace has reigned victorious, and the peoples of the free kingdoms rejoice in the knowledge that the evil that once threatened to destroy them has been banished from the face of Magnamund. Readily men have exchanged their swords for plowshares, and their shields for plows. And now the only marching they do is along the ruts of their freshly furrowed fields. Few are the watchful eyes that scan the distant horizon in fear of what may happen, although there are still those who maintain their vigilance, for the agents of the dark god Na come in many guises, and there are those upon Magnamund who wait quietly in the shadows for the chance to do his evil bidding. Already your newfound skills have been tested against Na's agents, and you have, on each occasion, acquitted yourself admirably. But your continuing victories against his minions have enraged the Dark God and inflamed his lust for vengeance. One such minion, the powerful Death Lord of Ixia, threatened to enslave the free nations of Magnamund with a weapon forged by Na himself. Bravely, you ventured alone into the Death Lord's icy domain and confronted him in a life-or-death battle in which you were triumphant. After enough timeline resets. However, as you were returning from the Death Lord's frigid realm, you learned that Summerland has been attacked. In your absence, Na has sent forth a host of dragon creatures to destroy the new order of the Kai and lay waste to your homeland. This news came as a terrible shock. In Ixia, you had won a great victory over evil, the Kai mastery of Chim. Yet at what cost? You had no doubt that the new order were worthy Kai warriors, but they were still young, and their mettle as of yet untested in the furnace heat of battle. Secretly you feared they would be unable to resist Na's newest champions, and so you resolved to return as quickly as possible to Summerland, and take command of the monastery to orchestrate your country's defences. In the court of King Sarniac of Lencia, in the city of Vidira, you received a pledge from the king himself that he would do all in his power to help speed your long journey home. Accompanied by Lord Arden, a friend and magician from the land of Desi, you were put aboard a Lencian clipper, one of the fastest of all seagoing vessels. The ship was bound for Garthan, the principal city of Telestria, which lies more than 1,000 miles to the east of Videra. This was to be the first stage of your journey back to Summerland, a destination more than 2,000 miles from Lencia. Yet as you set sail from Vidira, you knew that you were embarking upon a race against time, a desperate race in which the future of your country and the new order of the Kai were at stake. Okay. What do we want? Advanced animal control, advanced knowing which path to take, magic type 2. We would gain shield, power word, and invisible fist. Or shall we study under Guildmaster Bane? We would learn Lightning Hand, Levitation, and Mind Charm. I think we will receive expert tutelage from our dear friend, Guildmaster Bane of the Brotherhood of the Crystal Star. We will add axe to our list of weapons that we're really, really, really good with. How much cash do we have on hand, and what do we have left? We ate all our potions. We have lantern, rope, meal. I don't think we'll need an onyx key. I don't think we'll need the green gem. Those feel like things that we only needed the last book. And I can probably deposit a little more money. Let's go. Ooh, it says you already have too many objects. Yeah, I'm going to assume that we're okay with that. Okay. We rolled really, really well on our money roll. And go back up to full money. Do I need a third rope? I don't think I actually need a third rope. But we'll grab a third rope anyway. And then meal. Meal. Can you ever have too much rope as an adventurer? In order to find the quickest route from... No. Be on guard at all times, blah, blah, blah. And then the usual talk about no matter how poorly... If you are building a new character... No matter how poorly you rolled for your starting combat or endurance scores, you should be able to succeed with luck and if you are wise. And I call bullshit. If someone could roll a new character and win that previous book without any of the items that we carried over, I would like to see it. And so we begin. At least without needing dozens and dozens of rolls. You set sail from Vidira Harbour on a bitterly cold, grey late winter's day. The masts of your host ship, the Lencian clipper Saxon, have been rigged with every available square inch of canvas to catch prevailing winds that will, with luck, propel you quickly to Telestria, the first stage of your journey home. The clipper is a sleek and impressive craft, and its departure does not go unnoticed. Yet of all the many Lencians who have turned out to watch and wave, only King Sarnak and his closest advisors know the true purpose of this voyage. Once the Saxon is beyond the sheltering walls of Vidira Harbour, its captain charts an easterly course along the Tentarius, the chain of seas and landlocked lakes that separate the two continents of Magnamund. You and your companion, Lord Arden, settle into the ship's easy routine, and with few onboard duties to perform, you endeavour to pass the long hours constructively. With the aid of a map that he gives you, Arden briefs you on the route you should travel if you were to reach Summerland as quickly as possible. You spend your time discussing the details of the route and pondering the new evil, with capital E, which threatens your homeland and the Kai. Every night you lie awake on your bunk, staring at the tattered beams of your cabin. Oh no, Tard. You wish away the miles that separate you from your beloved homeland. You want, most of all, to be with your young Kai acolytes in this dark hour, but fate has seen fit to place a great distance between you. Fearful of what you may find when you arrive home, perhaps too late, every night you offer up your prayers to the gods Ashir and Kai, to help speed your return to Summerland. Can we actually see on the map where I'm interested in this map, because we're travelling a pretty bloody big distance. Okay, so what? We're down here and we're going to go... And then across... Across? It seems a bit weird that they might have us travelling across the banner. Although maybe we'll land here and then go across. We'll see. 10 days after leaving Videra, the Saxon drops anchor in Varnos Harbour. In Garthen. Well, now we can find out where we land. Just as I was complaining. Okay, so we are here now, supposedly. So maybe we started off map and we came across to here. The capital town of Telestria. Its sleek and elegant lines in Lencian craft starkly contrast with the drab, functional hulls of the merchant ships and dhows, which crowd the city port's jetties and wharves. Lencian craft are a rare sight in Garthen, and the Saxon is the rarest of Lencian craft. It is no wonder that its arrival has stirred a frenzy of interest and speculation among the citizens of the capital. Word of your arrival travels quickly to the royal citadel, and the troops of Queen Evaine's court cavalry are dispatched to the harbour. Led by a stern-faced man who wears the uniform and gold insignia of the Lord Constable, the highest military rank in the Telestrian army. He brings his column of regal horsemen to a halt at the quayside. Then he dismounts and strides forward to welcome you in person as you disembark from the ship. If you've ever visited this location before in a previous book, which we have, turn here. The smooth, dark hair and noble countenance of the Lord Constable are oddly familiar, reminding you of someone whose name you momentarily cannot recall. "Welcome, my lord," he says with a respectful salute. "I am Nathor, Lord Constable of the Royal Citadel. My troop would be honoured to escort you to audience with Queen Evian." "Pray tell, Lord Constable, have we not met before?" "No, sire. I venture that you must be thinking of my late brother, Adamus. He held the office of Lord Constable before me. I understand that you and he once fought together in the war against the Dark Lords. He spoke most highly of your courage. Sadly, he is no longer with us. He died valiantly during the great siege of Torgar." You accept Lord Constable Nathor's offer of an escort to Queen Evian's citadel, and call to Lord Arden, who had been watching from the decks of the Saxon, to come and join you. As Arden disembarks, Nathor gives a signal to his men, who are busy keeping the inquisitive crowd of citizens at bay. They clear a gap in the pressing wall of the curious, wide-eyed Garthians, and a moment later the horse-drawn coach comes trundling through towards the quay. Once you and Arden are safely aboard, Lord Constable Nathor shouts a terse command to the driver, and the coach speeds away from the harbour, escorted by the troop of court cavalry. A swervingly swift journey through Garthen's steep, narrow streets ends when the coachman reins in the horses, hail Noodlesky, in the courtyard of the royal citadel. Everywhere you look, you see soldiers of the royal household in uniforms bedecked with glittering braid. A fanfare of trumpets. I don't know, Noodlesky. Maybe you've been lurking for some. A fanfare of trumpets announces your arrival, and with minimal delay, Nathor escorts you personally to the State Hall, where Queen Evian of Telestria, seated upon a throne and surrounded by dozens of her court advisors, is waiting patiently for you to appear. "Welcome, Grand Master," she says graciously. "We have been expecting you. King Sarnak sent word of your arrival by Message Hawk, and we've made arrangements to help speed your passage homewards." And well, Noodlesky, there's always YouTube. I think we're up to like book 6 at the moment for the main channel, and the The VOD log channel should have everything. Respectfully, you bow to the Queen and voice your thanks for the cooperation she has seen fit to offer. Not at all, Grandmaster. Is it? It's like 20 books, Noodleski, and we're up to book 18. It's a book, but it's a book, Noodleski, where it's a bit like D&D. Like, we have combat stats. In the top left, you can see our attack skill, essentially. In the top right, you can see our current hit points. And then in a choose-your-own-adventure book, maybe you read the Goosebumps books or something similar as a kid, it might say, do you choose to go down the shady path into the forest or follow the cliffside path that you might fall down the cliffs? And you sort of make decisions and you turn to one page or another to make a decision about which way you go in the story. It's like that, but it also has D&D-esque combat as well. So you'll run into enemies and you'll have to fight them, and you don't roll a dice. There's a random number table at the back of the book that you'd do this, you'd wiggle your hand back and forth and then open it whilst holding a pen, and whatever number you were, pen or pencil, you were hovering your pen over when you open your eyes again was the number that you rolled, and then you do the same for the enemy, and you compare your attack stat plus your random number to the enemy's attack stat plus their random number, and then there's a table that says, based on the difference, how much damage you or they receive. And so it's a combination of a choose-your-own-adventure and sort of D&D combat. It's pretty much like a D&D campaign, but being run by a book instead of a person, and with a lot less choice than a real campaign then, because like a real person can let you go in any direction, but the books only have certain specific paths that you can go down. Okay, now where were we? Respectfully you bow to the Queen and voice your thanks for the cooperation she has seen fit to offer you. Not at all, Grandmaster, for Telestria is in your debt. Were it not for you, our land would be in the thrall of the Dark Lords. With this, Queen Evian dismisses her advisor and motions for you, Arden, and Lord Constable Nathor to approach her at the foot of her throne. I understand the urgency of your journey, Grandmaster, she says, her voice hushed as if she fears being overheard, but I must caution you to be on guard. The Dark God Nar's agents are abroad with plans to thwart your homecoming. I have received word from my garrisons in the north that Zlanbeast and Cran riders have been sighted in the night skies. They venture forth from the ruins of the Dark Lord cities of Nadgazad and Cragmantle, sent by the express command of Nar himself. They now know that you have triumphed in Ixia and are watching expectantly for your return trip home. I thank you for this information, Your Majesty, but I am sure that I can avoid these night riders, you reply confidently. I have no doubt of this, Grandmaster, but they are not the only agents in Nar's employ. Word of your coming has... Doggo is barking. Word of your coming has spread like wildfire throughout the shadowy underworld of thieves and assassins. There are great rewards of gold and dark magic that has been offered for your death. With respect, Your Majesty, you reply, tactfully masking your skepticism. How could you know this to be true? It is true, Grandmaster. I've heard it from the very lips of an assassin who was plotting your murder here in the heart of my capital. He was captured while attempting to recruit others and is being held prisoner in the dungeons. Perhaps you would welcome the chance to question this man yourself. If you wish to accept Queen Evian's offer and would question the would-be assassin, turn to 132. If you choose not to question the prisoner, turn to 111. Yeah, sure, we'll ask the prisoner. The Queen commands the Lord Constable to take you to the dungeons, which are located several levels below State Hall. Here, shackled to the dank stone wall of a rat-infested cell, the man who was caught in the Garthan Tavern plotting your murder. Limp and unconscious, he hangs by the wrist in chains, his emaciated body showing all too clearly the signs of recent tortures. A pot-bellied jailer scoops a bucket of foul water from a trough by the cell door and revives the prisoner by pouring it unceremoniously, g'day Goka, over his head. Coughing and spluttering, the wretched... It should be like the wretched person. I suppose they're referring to him as the wretched. Stirs to consciousness. He raises his face and you sense that he recognizes immediately who you are. His eyes blaze with undisguised hatred. He's a tough 'un. I used all my skills, but he won't say who his paymaster be. The fat jailer reaches for a pair of long-handled pincers that are protruding from the brazier of hot coals. Perhaps you'll be wanting to interrogate him yourself, sire, he says, offering you the pincers. Wisps of smoke curl from their sharpened tips, which are glowing and red. Aye, jailer, there are questions I'd like this man to answer. Afternoon, Death said. But I'll not be heeding those, you reply, declining the use of the pincers. I prefer to rely on my own methods of interrogation. Okay, so we can either use our newfound Bane-based magic, or we can try and mentally attack him. Or if we suck, we have to turn to these pages. Magic torture, or mental torture? I'm going to go with psychic torture. Psychic torture sounds best to me. Ooh, we fail. We focus our psychic powers and launch a pulse of energy at his mind in an attempt to weaken his resolve. You sense... Oh no, it just cost us health. Okay. You sense that his memory is protected by a magical shield, but it proves to be ineffective against our psychic probe. He shrieks with fear as his body is racked by uncontrollable tremors. You command the prisoner to reveal the identity of the person who sent him here to murder you, and a mass of images swirls in his mind's eye. The images of a past meeting in a far-off place, which you recognize to be Duodon, capital city of Eldanora. You see a shadowy figure, sheathed in ornate chainmail, handing a bulging pouch of coins to the prisoner in a dimly lit alleyway. The figure speaks your name before melting into the shadows. Who is this person? You say, commanding the trembling prisoner to answer. He parts his bruised lips and tries to utter a name, but no sound emerges. You sense that he is fighting to overcome the remnants of the shielding spell placed upon his mind. Moving closer, you try and make out the name he is struggling hard to whisper. Cautiously, you place your ear close to his mouth and try to identify the name he is struggling to utter. Luthia, he breathes. Then he gives a chilling snigger and you feel the hairs on the nape of your neck begin to rise. Your sixth sense is screaming. You are in danger. With his tongue, the prisoner dislodges a hollow tooth and bites down hard upon it. It releases a vile green gas, which he exhales directly in your face. If you have advanced immunity to temperatures and gas, turn here. If you do not have this skill, turn here. Luckily, we do have advanced immunity to temperatures and gas. You recoil from the insidious green cloud. Yeah, g'day, Dutchy. And fall back towards the cell door. Your mastery of Nexus protects you from the poisonous gas, but the jailer and Lord Nathar are not so fortunate. They are both vulnerable to its deadly effect. Choking and retching, they collapse to the floor, their fingers scrabbling at their swelling throats as they fight desperately for breath. You grab hold of their tunics, one in each hand, and drag their bodies from the cell to the clearer air of the corridor beyond. Here you use your discipline of healing to ease the effects of the poison gas. Your skill and the swiftness of your action save them from a painful, suffocating death. What happened? Wheezes Nathor as he slowly recovers from the deadly gas. You peer into the cell at the man hanging limply in chains, and then turn to Nathor and say, suicide. A suicide and attempted murder. He killed himself with a poison pellet, and it seems his last wish was to attempt to take the three of us with him. When you sense that the gas cloud has dissipated, and the air is no longer perilous to breathe, you enter the cell and take one last look at the prisoner's body. The man's face and upper body have been horribly disfigured by the effects of the gas. yet the extensive blistering has only partially destroyed a small tattoo on the side of his neck. A six-pointed star, which you recognize to be the national symbol of Eldenora. He must have died within seconds of biting into the pellet. It chills me to think that whoever sent him here commanded such respect from this man that he chose to die in this way rather than face the consequences of failing his mission. Aye, and if there are others like him out there to stop me, you reply uneasily, my journey home may prove more difficult than I had expected. You leave the cell and return to the State Hall, where Lord Constable Nathor reports what has happened to the Queen. Concerned for your safety, she suggests that you spend the night in the royal citadel as her guest. You accept her gracious invitation and enjoy a fine feast and the hospitality of her court. Shortly after dawn the following day, you bid Her Majesty and your companion, Lord Arden, a fond farewell before beginning the next stage of your long journey home. Mindful of the dangers, the Queen gives her Lord Constable a royal seal and places him, along with a troop of 10 court cavalrymen, at your disposal. Lord Nathor and his men are to act as your guides and bodyguards on the road to Vanamore, the capital city of neighbouring Palmrium. The Republic is closely tied to Telestria and lies along its eastern border. Palmrium also has close ties with your homeland, and you look forward to the chance of renewing your friendship with its leader, Elector Manatine. Mounted on fine Telestrian steeds, your party leaves the walled city of Garthan by its east gate. Here you cross a great stone bridge on the far side, which has a signpost pointing to the east. It reads, Vanamore, 280 miles. Let's see where we are on the map now. Okay, so we're making our way across to Skade. They made it sound like we'd be going more through this area. But whatever. The road which crosses the plains to the east of the river is deeply rutted. Fortunately, though, it is dry, there having been little rain in the past few weeks. Progress is good, and by midday you and the troop have covered more than 30 miles. You pass many wagons on the road, mostly driven by farmers taking their crops to the markets and wharves of Garthan. The wagon drivers are an unusually loyal and friendly breed. Invariably, they wave and cheer the moment they recognize the uniforms of Queen Evianne's court cavalry. After a brief rest at a village on the road, you continue your ride across the open plains and descend into a wide valley where a shallow stream winds its way through a mass of reed beds and willow copses. Beyond this valley, the land becomes increasingly hilly. The sun is almost touching the horizon when you come to a small wayside shrine dedicated to the goddess Ashir. Here, a track leads off to the north, and, a mile distant, you can make out the walls and bell tower of a chateau high in the hills. It is the monastery of the Vaderish Brethren, says Lord Nathor. They are a holy order, devoted to worship of the goddess Ashir. We shall find safe shelter with them this night. The sun has set and dusk is quickly turning to darkness by the time the troop reaches the gates of the Vaderish monastery. The brothers of this holy order are led by an elderly monk called Rasbaran, whom Nathor has met before. The old cleric welcomes him warmly, as though he were his son, and then invites you to stay overnight. The monk's evening meal is simple fare, g'day decoy, well prepared and wholesome. Restore any damage you have received in your adventure so far. Afterwards, Rasbaran invites you and Nathor to his chambers to sample some of the monk's speciality, a fine liqueur called aquas. You are raising a glass of this golden liquid to your lips when suddenly the piece is shattered by a loud cawing skreek, which echoes through the surrounding hills. If you have spirit walking, turn here. If you don't, turn here. I do have spirit walking. In the name of the gods, splutters Nathor, spilling the liqueur down the front of his tunic. What was that? A knot of fear tightens in the pit of your stomach. It is a cran, you reply, recognizing at once the fell cry of this unwelcome creature. You hurry to a window and see the large bat-like cran silhouetted against the moon. A man-sized rider clings precariously to the creature's reptilian back as it swoops and soars among the hills and gullies. You'd best come away from the window, my lord, lest it detect your presence. You take heed of the Lord Constable's advice and retreat from the window. Furthermore, you use your Magna Chi skill of Psi Screen to shield your mind in case the rider is able to employ psychic abilities to locate your presence. It is not the first time it has come. Every night for the past 10 days we've heard it circling the hills. Sometimes there is more than one. He suggests that you bunk in the cellar, where you might find it safer to avoid detection, and you accept his offer gladly. For hours, the sounds of the cran's incessant cry echoes among the surrounding hills, making it difficult for you to sleep, as you lie awake, listening to its ghastly call. A sense of foreboding invades your mind, and despite your strong will, you feel powerless to overcome it. Restless and agitated, you get up and pace around the cellar until at last the cawing ceases, and a chorus of birdsong ushers in the dawn. You take 3 hit point damage because you didn't sleep properly. You join the troop for breakfast with Rasbarin and his brothers. During the meal, an elderly monk offers you a flask of aquas to fortify you on the road ahead, and a talisman of Ashir to ward off hostile creatures. They are not special items, they are normal items. After breakfast, Nathor thanks Rasbarin for his hospitality and makes a donation of 50 gold to his monastery. If before leaving you would like to make a donation, erase from your action chart. Well, we're full on money. I will go with 30 gold. Let's be exceedingly generous. Why would I want to look at the objects? Oh, so that I can take them. Sure. And we will trade one of our excess ropes, because 3 ropes is perhaps a little excessive, for the bottle of liqueur. Continue. Overhead, the sun gleams like a jewel in the clear blue sky, and the early morning air bites with a refreshing sharpness that helps revive your spirits. A thick layer of frost covers the stony trail from the monastery, and it scrunches loudly under the horse's hooves as you make your careful descent. Soon you rejoin the east road and follow it through a series of shallow gorges to a thick pine forest where the ground is covered with mossy rocks. Here the road ascends to a crest where a pall of black smoke stains the cloudless sky. As you approach the crest, you suddenly sense danger ahead and shout a warning to Nathor. He commands the troop to come to a halt while you go ahead to assess the situation. Beyond the crest, you see a broad valley with steeply wooded sides. At its center is a village and a large stone building, which, as you magnify your vision, you determine is a church. The roof is ablaze, and several bodies lie dotted around its cultivated grounds and gardens. You signal to Nathor to join you, and when he arrives upon the crest, he is able to identify the burning church. That is Pine Peaks Abbey, he says, his voice stilted with anxiety. They're in trouble. We must help them. He calls his men to come forward, and, before you can caution him, leads them at a gallop down the steep trail which descends towards the valley floor. Cursing his impetuosity. Now that's not... I've heard impetuousness, but not impetuosity. Oh well, cursing his impetuosity, you spur your steed onwards and follow in his wake. You have covered less than half a mile when suddenly your Magna Chi sense of divination screams a warning. The troop is riding directly into an ambush. It could be right. I've just never seen it used that way. Desperately, Like, I've always seen it used as cursing his impetuousness. Desperately, you shout for Nathor to halt, but your command goes unheeded. Then, from the surrounding pines comes a volley of arrows and spears. One penetrates deep into your horse's flank, killing him instantly. Somehow I find hard to believe. Anyway, pick a number from the random number table. You have selected 4. We didn't critical fail. We only middle failed. So we're thrown from our horse. Your slain horse crashes to the ground, and you are thrown through the air. You land among the boulders and bracken which border the hill road, but your swift Kai reflexes prevent you from sustaining too serious an injury. Take 2 hit points of damage. Bruised but unshaken, you spring to your feet in time to see a yelling horde of leather-clad men, each brandishing a sword or spear, rushing from the hiding places among the surrounding trees. As they close in upon you, you draw your weapon and prepare to fight for your life. Ambushes. 38 skill, 42 health. They are seriously less skillful than me to the point where I don't think we even need to use our psychic attack. They do 1 damage. They do 2 more damage. They do a 4th damage, and they are dead. Butterscratch. As the last of the Blobber-approved situation, we kind of need to get back quickly. Ideally, Guildmaster Bane would have arrived at the city we were at with his flying ship, but he must be busy doing other things. As the last of your attackers collapses at your feet, you turn and run headlong down the steep hill track. Arrows and spears whistle past on all sides as you endeavour to outrun the remaining ambushes. He's too busy doing Picross. By dint of luck and speed, Nathor and his troop of court cavalrymen